Okay, and I'm gonna start a slideshow. All right. All right. Well, welcome. After a few technical difficulties, I think we're off and running. So I want to thank you for coming. Kari and I are so excited you took a little time out of your evening to hear more about this community, our Healthy Living Revolution. We are a group of people that are excited about taking our health back in ways that are simple and doable, fun, and done in community, where everything is better when we do it together. So we're going to spend a little time together just getting educated on kind of where we're at, and then we're going to share just a real simple solution that we have found to help ourselves and our families. So the first thing I want to start out by sharing is that there are two startling trends in our world today. And the first one is that environmental toxins are on the rise. So whether it is the air that you're breathing, if it's the water you're drinking, the laundry detergent you're washing your clothes in, the lotions you're slathering on your skin, you name it, we are full of toxins. And there's no getting away from them. It's just the world that we live in. Unfortunately, this has just increased tenfold after tenfold after tenfold as the years have gone on. And our bodies are natural detoxifiers. They are. But at the same point, they can kind of get on overload. And while our toxins are increasing, at the same time, our food quality is decreasing. And this is something that has been on my radar for some time. It is not getting better. It is only getting worse. And we're gonna highlight a little bit of that later on, but I just wanna, there's a picture here of this gentleman who really looks like he's trying to do his best. He's in the middle of the store. He's looking at the product. He's probably trying to read the labels. And unfortunately, he's going to see a lot of the things that are listed on the side of your screen that are going to be in this food. And food, I use that term loosely because really what you're going to find in the middle of that store are more what I would call food-like products, okay? So you're going to have a lot of ingredients in them. You're not going to be able to pronounce most of them, and our body isn't even going to recognize them as food. So I know for me, when I began my shift in my health journey 18 years ago, two things happened. The first one is somebody gave me this wise piece of advice was, you know what, only buy food that your grandmother would be able to buy, 50 years before, because you'll know it's food then. If she wouldn't have been able to buy it, it's probably not something you should be eating. Second of all, shop the perimeter of the store as much as possible because that's where real food is found. And third, not the nutrition label necessarily, but the ingredient list. That's really where you want to focus. And you want to focus there because that's where the quality of the food really lies. It doesn't really matter how many calories are in it or even what those calories are composed of, if it's fat or protein or carbs. That's secondary to what it is made up of. And so now I shoot to purchase foods that have 5 ingredients or less and all that I can pronounce, okay? So they're probably going to have 2 or 3 syllables at the most. So that is a big deal. And if you can keep to that, you are doing yourself and your family really, really well. So I want to highlight a quote by Dr. David Katz, who's the head of prevention at Yale University. And he says this may be the first generation of children to have a smaller, shorter life expectancy than their parents. Okay, this is something that should be on the evening news. The evening news is full of depressing stuff usually. This would probably top it. Like, are you kidding? We are in a first world country, supposedly so developed with all these advancements, and our kids are not going to live as long as we are? That is so depressing to me. And the thing is, I know that it's not just a statistic, because if I look around, this is what I see. I look around and I see kids that are sick. By age 12, they have hardening of arteries. How can that be? That can be because of the toxic load that we're carrying and the food quality that we're eating. Those things are aging us more quickly than our parents were aged or our grandparents. We have children that are obese. We have children that have diabetes. We have children that as young as 8 can be on statin drugs. If you don't know what a statin is, it's a cholesterol lowering drug. Okay. Unfortunately, when we move on to Dr. Sears, who is known as America's pediatrician. He's from St. Louis, and I was able to hear him speak a few months ago. He's just wonderful. He's in his 80s now. But he tells us kind of the same story for our adult population, okay? We've got 1 in 2 men having cancer, 1 in 3 women. We've got heart disease and obesity. We have chronic pain, right? 116 million people living with chronic pain, and we're spending more money on our healthcare than some countries spend on their entire wealth. I mean, our gross income for healthcare is more than some companies or some countries' entire economy. So, but we're not getting better necessarily, right? And I don't know, again, about you, but when I look at my own friend circle, this is also what I'm seeing. There have been 3, 4, 5 women at my church that are my age, a couple years older, a couple years younger, that have been diagnosed with some form of cancer just in the last couple of years. When my mother was my age, she didn't know anybody that had cancer. And that was what was normal. So what we consider common now, it may be common, but it is not normal and it's not acceptable. And that's why we're on the call tonight, because of the last thing you see at the bottom of the screen that Dr. Sears says, 75% of all this chronic disease, it's preventable. And that is including cancer and heart disease and diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol. It's all chronic and it's all preventable. Same with autoimmune disease, which isn't listed on here, but is also on the rise. In fact, 35 of the top fastest growing diseases right now in our country and in the world have nothing to do with bacteria. They have nothing to do with a virus. They're all autoimmune. Okay, so this is another big thing health problem that we are dealing with. So this is where I want you to hang with me, because this chronic disease, the leg that it stands on is oxidative stress. So every one of those diseases, what it has in common is it's caused by a contributor to it is oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? Well, it's just because we live, we have it, but we can create more or less of it depending on our lifestyle, okay? So it's linked to poor health, and why is that? It is because we don't get enough of what counters oxidative stress, and that is antioxidants. So every day we breathe, we have oxidative stress. We can do some things that create more of it, good things and bad things. Some bad things maybe that create more oxidative stress are a lot of sun exposure, drinking heavily, smoking heavily. Those are things that are going to age us. And we kind of know that if we've been around for a while. We know that, people who smoke generally have skin that doesn't look quite as healthy and vibrant, that sort of thing. And you see that on this woman. Her skin is looking aged. The same thing, though, is happening on the inside of her body. The outside is showing what the inside is doing as well. So that oxidative stress is creating rust inside her cells. The good things, though, that we do that create oxidative stress, you might be surprised. Being pregnant, that's a great thing, right? For most people, that's a blessing. They're so excited about that in their lives, but it's highly stressful on the body, creates a lot of stress. The other thing is exercise. So we think we're doing a body good, right? When we get out and run or go to a Zumba class, and we're strengthening our lungs and our heart, and we're moving and getting circulation. But if we're not doing anything afterwards to fuel our bodies well, then we are actually doing our bodies harm in doing that. And you will notice a lot of times that athletes that are really, really serious, take a marathon runner, for instance. Marathon runners age pretty quickly, and they are so hard on their bodies. And if they have not figured out that a diet that's really high in antioxidants is the way to go to lower that inflammation, they are going to age their bodies. So what stops that? I touched on it just briefly. It's antioxidants. Where do we find them? Fruits, vegetables, and berries. Plants are where we find antioxidants. We can't create them ourselves, nearly not enough of them anyway. The apple is a great example of what happens when we cut open an apple. It is exposed to oxygen, which begins the oxidative stress process, and it begins aging, browning. What stops that, right? When I was younger and going to my grandma's and we were taking a fruit salad, we sprinkled lemon juice on that, okay? Why did that work? I have no clue. I just did it. But it worked because it's an antioxidant. Lemon juice is an antioxidant, and it stops the aging process of the apple. The same thing is happening in our own bodies when we eat fruits and vegetables and berries. So that's the good news, right? Yes, it is good news. But unfortunately, when we go to the store, it's really hard for us to get those kind of antioxidants into our body for a couple of reasons. Our produce is not as nutritious as it has been in decades past and even in years past. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is soil depletion. I can't go into that. You could watch a whole documentary on it. I have, but it's a real deal. We have been greedy. We have wanted to grow things too quickly and too much of it on our soil. We haven't taken time to replenish. And here's the deal, we're connected, okay? We are, I mean, if you know the word humus, humus is what is soil, humus. It's similar to human, right? Because it's the same root word. When we are all done, we are ashes. So we're connected. And so when we have a depleted soil, we grow depleted food or plants, and then depleted food makes for a depleted person, okay? So that's one reason our produce is depleted. The second reason is because nothing is picked anymore when it's ripe. It's all picked really early so they can ship it to us in trucks from around the world. When I go to Aldi, my produce is from Mexico. My tomatoes are from Chile. They are not mostly from Missouri, maybe in the summer, but other than that, not so much. When it's ripened on a vine, you guys, so important. If there's one thing you want to hear tonight, it's this. When it's ripened on the vine, that's when over 90% of the nutrition comes into the plant. So if you pick it early, you never get that nutrition. You may ripen it. You may ripen it on your counter. I've got bananas ripening on my counter. I have avocados ripening in my fruit basket right now. That doesn't mean they're getting the nutrition. They're not. They're going to be devoid of that nutrition because they were picked early. Okay, so we need 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And I want to real quick about this slide actually shows a lot of what I'm talking about. So 1953, 1 bowl of spinach, you would eat 1 bowl of spinach. And now, 1997, which was 20 years ago, they showed that you'd need 43 bowls of spinach to equal the 1 in 1953. Okay, so this picture really shows what we're up against, why the other sides are true, why we're having all this chronic disease. We're trying, but we don't have the produce that we used to. Okay, back in the 50s and 60s, the government came up with the vitamin. They decided that we had a deficiency. They came up with the 12 to 15 essential vitamins and minerals and thought, great, we'll get these, we'll isolate them, we'll put them in a capsule, people can take those and all will be well. Well, I just showed you the picture of what's going on in our world today. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that vitamins are not the answer. People are not getting sick because they're not taking their vitamin. Vitamins are not what the body needs. The vitamins are not recognizable by the body. They're not usable by the body. And that is because whole food works synergistically in our body. It's what our body runs on. There's no vitamin tree outside. There's an apple tree, and that's what the body was made to eat. You can see a list of the phytonutrients in that one apple. There's a good deal more than 12 to 15, okay? There's actually 20,000 phytonutrients. And when I say phytonutrients, I mean micronutrients. That includes vitamins and minerals. But vitamins and minerals are only there's 30 total, right? But there's 20,000 total things in an apple. So that includes enzymes and antioxidants, all these micronutrients that are working synergistically together. A couple examples of that are lycopene. Lycopene, a few years ago, everybody was really excited because it showed promise against prostate cancer in men, because men who were eating tomatoes were doing really wonderful with their prostate cancer. So they thought, well, isolate lycopene, we can put it in a capsule and then men can just take that. When they did that though, lycopene did absolutely nothing on its own. It wasn't potent on its own. It needed everything else in the tomato. So all day long, yes, eat tomatoes, but on its, lycopene by itself, not so much. So this is just a good picture of why vitamins didn't end up being the answer we thought. So we need fruits, vegetables, and berries, not vitamins. And we need 7 to 13 servings a day. And that is if you're in great health. But if you're pregnant, if you are nursing, if you are sick, or if you are exercising, or any kind of athlete, and maybe just you're like a weeknight athlete, I go out and I exercise 4 or 5 times a week, you're going to need closer to 16 to 20. To prepare them, first to purchase them all, to prepare them, to eat them, that's a lot every day. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting 7 to 13. I'm certainly not getting 16 to 20. So this is our simple solution. This is Juice Plus, and this beautiful array of fruits, vegetables, and berries that you see on your screen. It makes me smile every time I see it because of all the color and all the different just, I know, phytonutrients that are represented there in a capsule, ready for you to take. And so I want to tell you real quickly the backstory. 25 years ago, there was a doctor who was helping cancer patients fight cancer by juicing. His own father got cancer. Things were not looking good. He was given 3 weeks to live. He checked him out of the hospital, took him back to his home in Arizona. He weighed 130 pounds. He was 6'5", so he was emaciated. And he started giving him his juices, but that wasn't doing it. He was really far gone. So Dr. Smokey said, what if I could put everything in the juice? What if I took the pits and the peels and the seeds and the rinds? And mind you, it was 25 years ago. Nobody knew how powerful all those things were. But you Google that right now. There's all kinds of research coming out on lemon seeds and lemon peel, and really, and I mean, just so many things in those items within the fruit and the vegetable and the berry. He started putting it all in. He dehydrated it, taking out the water and the sugar, and he was left really with these plant powders. And he started giving them to his dad. His dad got better. He ended up having an amazing quality of life. He did not die in 3 weeks. And Dr. Smokey knew he was onto something. And Juice Plus, he took the product to the president of Juice Plus company, and the rest is history. So I want to share with you real briefly what sets us apart, because there is absolutely nothing else like Juice Plus on the market. So you can go and the shelves are lined with supplements, okay? But there is nothing like Juice Plus, and here's why. The first thing that sets it apart, it is food, okay? So if you own a supplement in your home, if you take a vitamin, if you take anything, go look at the label, go flip it around and see what it says, because it won't say what this says, because if you can read what this says, it says nutrition label. Your supplement is going to say supplement label, and I don't care if it's a whole food vitamin or whatever, it's still going to say supplement, because it can't qualify as food. There's not enough in it to make it food. They may have a few plant powders in there, a little, but mostly it's a supplement. Juice Plus is nothing but food that's been dehydrated and ground up and put into these little powders. So that is the first thing that sets us apart. If we were sold in a store, we'd be in the produce department, okay? That's where you'd find us, next to the spinach. We have all those phytonutrients. It's non-GMO. It's dairy-free and gluten-free. It is, the second thing that sets it apart is it is certified by the NSF Foundation, which is the National Sanitation Foundation. And that gives third-party assurance that what we say is in it is, and what you don't want it in it is not. Okay, so people sometimes ask, is Juice Plus organic? It is not organic, and I am so thrilled it's not organic, and here's why. Because organic does not mean that nothing is sprayed on your produce. Organic gives the farm the right to still spray. Around 200 chemicals are approved, just at smaller levels, okay? So a little bit of poison, I guess, is okay, as long as they don't go over the threshold to make it conventional. But there's still stuff sprayed on your fruit, veggies, and berries. Juice Plus sprays nothing. They work with small farms around our country that are committed to best practices. They replenish their soil, they conserve their water, and they're awesome. I have not found another company that is committed to excellence with their produce as Juice Plus, and it's vine ripened, okay? That's key. We talked about why that's so important. I can't get that in my store, but I can get that in Juice Plus. And then finally, their clinical research, which is done in universities all around the world. This is not done in a Juice Plus lab. There are universities asking to do research on our product, places like MD Anderson, like Yale University, like Vanderbilt. And what they are finding is that Juice Plus does some amazing things in the body, okay? It balances our immune system. It reduces oxidative stress by nearly 70%. I just told you earlier that oxidative stress is the stool, it's the leg of the stool that disease stands on, okay? So when we can reduce oxidative stress in our body, we reduce the chance that we're going to develop disease. One of the studies that I wanted to share with you real quickly, because I love what it says, was done by 3 cardiologists at the University of Maryland, who knew that most heart attacks and strokes are happening 4 to 6 hours after a high-fat meal. So they wanted to measure the vasoconstriction in our arteries, okay? So our arteries are like this, blood is flowing through. They wanted to find out how much they were constricting after a high-fat meal. High-fat meal is hard on the body. So they took a group of people, they fed them all a high-fat meal, and they divided them, oh, and then they measured their constriction. And you can see on the left of your screen, all of them had the same amount, roughly between 40 and 50% constriction. Their body was working 50% harder. That artery was shrinking by 50%. They took them and divided them into 3 groups. So one group was on our fruits and our veggies. One group was on nothing, the placebo, and then one group added the berries in, okay? So our fruits, our veggies, and our berries. They took them and did nothing else for 28 days except take the Juice Plus. They didn't start new exercise plan. They didn't start eating better. They just took Juice Plus. They brought them back 28 days later, and the results were incredible. The group on the fruit and veggies, their constriction reduced by 68%, which is awesome. I mean, I think that's pretty great. But you add the berries in, and their constriction actually reduced by 98%. No constriction. They had 3% constriction. So their arteries went from like here to here, which is awesome. So what this says to me is you don't have to be perfect. What it said to my husband was that he could eat a Big Mac at McDonald's and feel good about it. That was not what I was hoping was his, what he was taking away. But in some ways it's true. Like when you mess up, nobody's perfect. When you're fueling your body with good stuff, it's okay, right? We can offset the not so good stuff by doing something every day. So we have just 2 other products, which I love about Juice Plus. We do one thing, we do it really well, okay? We're not trying to be your cosmetic company and your cleaning company. We're just nutrition. So the other 2 items, the first one is our shakes, which are protein. We have protein in them from plants, okay, not whey, which tends to be more inflammatory, but from plants, which are very low inflammatory foods. It's vegan and non-GMO. It truly is the best fast food. I just had one a half hour before I got on here because I love them. I want one every day. I make mine into pudding. Okay, so it's not just a shake mix. It can be turned into puddings. You can make pancakes with them, muffins, cookies, and you're getting all kinds of good fiber and plants into your diet every day. So they are great. They have prebiotic fiber and oligosaccharides, which help heal our gut, which a lot of us are struggling with leaky gut because of the food we're eating. So this really comes in and just helps heal that mucosal lining. And then the last product we have is our plant-based omegas. They came out 2 years ago, and they have been just a runaway for Juice Plus. I mean, we really thought we had a perfect product line before them, but this is pretty much completes it. People need omegas, okay? We don't make them ourselves. We need to get them from our food, and the only place you can get them is originally from plants. Now, people a lot of times are taking fish oil to get their omegas, but fish don't have omegas on their own. Fish go eat algae, and that's where they get their omegas. We cut out fish because fish are toxic, unfortunately, because our oceans are toxic. So rather than have to take in the good oil, but have to deal with all the toxins, we said, let's just cut out the fish. And so we did, and we added 5 different plant oils to complete our wide spectrum omega. So these are great for your brain, for your eyes. There's a ton of macular degeneration going on right now. This is great for eye health. I've heard stories about people's eyes actually getting better after starting our omegas, which is amazing. And our brain, I said that heart, brain, joints, skin, and eyes. I was just sent an article by my own PCP, my own primary physician, who just shared an article with me that they are linking shrinkage of brain, the shrinking of our brains, with our omega levels. There's a direct correlation. So we need to be supplementing omegas. So these are great. And another great thing is they don't taste like fish. Great thing about Juice Plus, it's affordable, okay? So every day we're spending money. We all are. We're spending money on habits that don't serve us. One example is Starbucks. When I go by Starbucks, there's always like a line of 20 cars. Getting something that doesn't necessarily serve their health, it's a treat, but Juice Plus is totally affordable. It's dollars a day. When I look at what I could go buy at the produce department at Fresh Time or at Whole Foods, 2 apples is going to cost me the same as a serving of Juice Plus. Kids eat free. If you see that on your screen, that's an amazing thing about our company. If an adult is taking Juice Plus, you can sponsor a child for free. And that is a company with a mission. The company's mission is to take healthy back, to inspire healthy living around the world, and we want to do it in families. So this is how I was introduced to Juice Plus, and I'll tell my story in a little bit. So I want to end with this slide that there is nothing available anywhere else in the world, with or without prescription, that can do what Juice Plus does in the body. And this was said by Dr. Richard Du Bois, one of the first doctors of now thousands of doctors that recommend our products, OBGYN, midwives, doctors of all kinds, oncologists, telling patients about Juice Plus because he started to see it. I mean, Juice Plus has more research on it than most pharmaceuticals out there. So with that, I want to turn it over, Kari, if you want to unmute yourself and you can just share briefly with your guest why you are excited about Juice Plus, why it makes sense to you.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've been really excited. I've been really excited to share this with everybody, and love technology and that it allows me to reach so many people at the same time. So I was introduced to Juice Plus by Julie probably close to a year ago now. I was a little skeptical at first, but I did a lot of research, and everything that I've learned about the product and how well it works and the research that's been done on it and the integrity of Juice Plus, the company, has just really made me say yes to it. So we started taking Juice Plus a few months ago. The first thing that I really noticed so far is just my energy levels have increased. So I'm typically kind of a sluggish person. I don't have a ton of energy, even when I'm being healthy. So that can be frustrating sometimes, like I'm working so hard to be healthy and still not feeling the best. So I'm feeling a lot more energy now. I typically drink about 2 cups of coffee a day, and when I'm not pregnant or nursing, I'm known to drink 4 or 5. So that's a lot of coffee. So now I've noticed in the afternoon, if I go for that second cup of coffee, it actually makes me pretty anxious. So I've switched over to kind of tea, and occasionally I'll forget and drink the coffee anyway, and I don't feel good afterwards, which is a big change for me. Brad has also noticed an increase in his energy. He is not a big coffee drinker, so not quite that like concrete change, but he has noticed some differences. So we're actually really looking to the future for him. So he, some of you know, he has chronic kidney stones, and he recently was referred to an endocrinologist to look at the higher levels of calcium in his blood. So just some health concerns there. After discussing some of that with Julie, she sent me an article that was discussed the benefits that Juice Plus and whole plant nutrition can have on these things. And so healing with nutrition takes time. It's not a quick fix. So we're kind of looking long-term there, but really excited to see what the product can do and see if that helps. One of my favorite things about Juice Plus is that kids can take it. So, and I can tell you from experience that they love it. Jude, so we give him the capsules instead of there's a chewable form, but we give him the capsules. They're dissolvable, so he can eat them just fine. And he, like if I leave mine out on the table, he will just take the whole handful and eat all of them, which is safe because they're plants. So there's no worry of him getting into the containers, which he's also done. It's okay. And so that it's the peace of mind that he can take them and he's getting this great nutrition from the get-go is awesome. For the kids that don't love the taste, so I've tried them to kind of see what they taste like. They taste like powdered fruits and vegetables. They're not the best in my opinion, but so for the kids that don't love the taste and aren't ready for the capsules, or adults that don't want to do the capsules, they have a chewable form that I think tastes like fruit snacks. So it's a great substitute for fruit snacks in my opinion as well. One of the great things also about kids getting this nutrition early is that it can help transform their cravings. So should hopefully lead to them wanting to experiment more with eating more fruits and vegetables. It's so hard to get kids to eat vegetables, especially in my experience. So I love that. And then of course, as Julie mentioned, the free, the option for the free Juice Plus for kids between 4 and 18 is just, that's a remarkable thing, I think, for to be offered. It's a great head start for kids. So that's my story. I'm excited to see how our health changes over the next few years and be on board spreading this great product that we found.
Well, thank you, Kari. It's so wonderful to hear just like what your plan is with it. And I think it's so important to be proactive, right? We don't have to wait for disease. And I think just what Kari said, like we can actually do something every day to prevent it because it's a whole heck of a lot easier to prevent than it is to try to fight a disease. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend my time and my money and my energy fighting a disease. I would rather do something every single day that's simple, that has been proven to prevent disease. So I'm going to share just real briefly how I came to find Juice Plus, and then we'll wrap up the call. So I've loved nutrition for a really long time. I mean, a really long time. And I love to learn. I read. I mean, I'm kind of just like a self-taught dietitian, and my family has benefited from that. We've made small changes over a long time, and it's made a big difference. And we eat really, really well, and we're all pretty healthy. But I had a son who ended up with asthma, and I mean, serious asthma. He was 2 and rushed to the hospital to the ER, and that would happen a few more times, 4 times, the last time ending up in the pediatric intensive care unit. He finally got diagnosed with asthma because when they're little, they don't like to diagnose right away. And the doctor gave me a prescription, no joke, for 4 different steroids. And in my research, I had really come to the conclusion that steroids, although written and given out like candy, were not the road that I wanted to go. It was a symptom manager. And I want you to hear me say that. We are really good in this country about managing symptoms, but managing symptoms is not helping disease, okay? It's managing disease. So you may be able to manage it for a while, but if you keep on that road, nothing's going to change. And I knew that steroid would just manage his symptoms, but not get to the root of why he had asthma. So I started listening a little more closely to my neighbor who was sharing with me about Juice Plus. And she was very patient with me because I was like, I don't know, I'd never heard of it. And what could a vitamin do? I thought it was a vitamin. But I thought, what the heck? She said it was free. So we started getting Juice Plus for free. And I started giving it to Elijah. It's been 2.5 years, and Elijah has not been hospitalized again. Elijah has never had to take a daily steroid. He's taken his daily fruits and vegetables in a capsule. That got my attention. And that boy, I'm convinced that if we would have done steroids, he'd still be on them. Okay. So and we've continued to see other health changes for our family, but I love what Kari said. It's the long haul. It's day in, day out, giving our bodies this micronutrition that we just don't have. There's a reason why sickness is on the rise, you guys. Something we can do about it. So at this point, I want to thank you, and Kari thanks you for joining and just hearing what she's up to. And I would love to just ask you, if you're interested at all, get with Kari. I'm sure she would, be happy to share with you different options if this is something for you. Hopefully we inspire you to eat more fruits and vegetables, or maybe you thought of somebody in your life too that you're like, okay, my mom needs to hear about this. Same thing, connect up to Kari. We'd love to be able to help you. So at this point, I'm going to unmute everybody.